Habit number one of creating a great effing visionary is to fanatically schedule. I used to run from scheduling and run from process and structure. And yet within that structure is the magic and the spontaneity and the juice of life. And so the couple things to fanatically schedule is to have a weekly clarity break. Pure EOS is that everybody takes a clarity break, and it's 30 minutes once a week, and that's a really hard thing for a lot of people to break into, especially when we're in survival mode and we're working in the business. So this is a way to work on the business. And yes, we all need to take a clarity break, and yet the visionary, we've got to make sure it's scheduled in and we protect it. And so that's at least 30 minutes, and I find the clarity break for the visionary, as Stephen Kotler talks about in Stealing Fire, is if I'm in what we call a clarity break and I'm not in the part of the brain which is in fear mode or fight or flight and breathing through my mouth and frantic, excuse me, it's to go to that problem solving part of our brain, the peaceful, the creativity. And so Stephen Kotler talks about we can be as much as 500 times as productive if we're in that space, and that is really a clarity break. And we've attached a link for a tool, not an EOS tool, but an iMatter tool that I found works great for visionaries, and it's a simple structure for that weekly clarity break. But fanatically schedule that weekly clarity break and to stick to it and make sure that the visionary is doing that. And then ultimately, what comes out of that clarity break, share the ideas, the potential blogs, the potential solutions, and then to really find out what's going on in the head of the visionary. So the Take 5 check-in, which is an iMatter tool, helps that. And I found that when I do an audio, and visionaries do an audio on a quick, kind of summary of what's going on in my head, to at least the integrator and maybe to the whole leadership team, we can start to see what's going on in the crazy visionary's head. And mainly that the visionary, as I'm speaking into the audio, I start to think about it and I just gain real clarity. And that's the whole thing with the clarity break. The second thing to fanatically schedule is a daily routine for the visionary. So often the visionary, we're very dramatic, excuse me, and things are great. Oh my God, we're screwed. So to start off each day with a positive focus and priorities and whatever that looks like, just to have that, as James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits, is to have, excuse me, a truly simple habit and routine. And so for me, and we'll attach this as well, is the 331 check-in, just something to do. Just here's what matters most to me today. Here's the top couple action items, and then just to frame my mind in a positive space. So some kind of a daily routine. And then, as Les Brown talks about, any worthy goal written down and shared is bound to happen. So share what those top priorities and goals are, and we call them action items for the day. Next is to fanatically schedule the same page meetings. And this is the visionary and the integrator. And there's different rhythms, but Pure is 2 to 4 hours a month off-site. And that is just a giant, and it could be using the Take 5 check-in, it could just be using a blank legal pad or a whiteboard, but check in, list the issues, and solve the issues. And too often people are like, we talk all the time. But no, fanatically schedule and keep this, hold it sacred that we are going to sit down, because it's amazing when it's like, okay, I got to clear my head, get all the issues out there. Is that all the issues? Great. Now let's solve them. And this is a chance for the visionary to share all these crazy ideas and gaps that they're seeing in the company or in the industry. And then the integrator, bouncing ideas and solving issues with the visionary. So please hold that sacred. And then the last thing to fanatically schedule is information-only meetings. And I found it's interesting. I had a great assistant years ago that said, love your storytelling, usually, and that's great, but I need to get, to unlock bottlenecks in the company and some things that we just need an answer from you. I have to get information from you. So this was, 30 minutes a week that, okay, visionary, all you get to do is answer yes or no, or answer my questions. We can't have you go off on other tangents. So if I know I have a chance to go off on other tangents in my clarity breaks and in the same page meetings and whatnot, then I can stay focused and then unleash the bottleneck that is often with the top of the bottle. And so that information only meeting I found has been very productive. And then one last thing is to fanatically schedule. A big thing that we are responsible for often for the visionary is great conversations and great relationships. So to fanatically schedule time, I call them shout outs. And so it's to have 2 90-minute blocks of time scheduled that I do, and then it's just reaching out. Well, who are the 10 people I'm going to shout out to in each of those shout out sessions? And so as I list the 10 people that it's like, I'm going to reach out. It may be a text, it may be a phone call, and if that my main thing is to at least reach out to those 10 people, what happens is then either I get a hold of them or they call me back, or I talk to someone and they say, hey, have you talked to Fred, or have you talked to Mary? So it usually leads into another 10 or 15 people, and then it's all about having great conversations. It's not selling, it's sharing. How are you doing? What's happening? And then, that's part of what we're great at, is having those conversations. And then again, they will fall flat if I don't follow up. So then also to fanatically schedule time at the end of that shout out session and the great conversations is to do a quick audio to my assistant and maybe the integrator to say, hey, I talked to these 8 people. Here's the ahas, here are the follow-ups, here are the things that we need to do, because often I'll have great conversations and then I don't follow up. So to do that audio has been a great way for me to truly follow up on those great conversations. So habit number 1, fanatically schedule these things so it helps the visionary to be in their unique ability and their great gift. And so please stay true to that.